He reached into his pocket and pulled out a single golden thread. Milan's breath caught. It was from her wedding veil, tangled in Keen Yiran's coat all this time. And in that fragile moment, she realized something terrifying. This man wasn't just a safe harbor. He was becoming the one thing she feared the most, someone she wanted to trust. Welcome back to the Velvet Story, where shadows of betrayal meet whispers of forbidden trust. In today's chapters of Beneath the Mask, chapters 35, 36, 37, and 38, Milan begins to rise from the ashes of her ruined life, only to face a storm of public scandal, family betrayal, and a new enemy lurking in the dark. Will she reclaim her voice, or will love become her most dangerous weakness? Let's step into the story. Chapter 35, The Wounds We Don't Name. Early morning lakeside cabin. The golden light of dawn spilled through the curtains. Milan stirred from the couch, rubbing sleep from her eyes. A book lay open on her chest, forgotten. The sweater she borrowed from Yiran still held a faint scent of cedar and rain. For a moment, she didn't remember the weight of the world. Just the quiet, just the warmth. Then she sat up, and reality came rushing back. Zoo Corporation, her family still fighting to recover. Her tarnished name, her stolen shares, and beside it all, him. Keen Yiran, who had offered her sanctuary without asking for anything in return. Who didn't pity her, who didn't push. Last night's conversation echoed in her mind. Maybe it wasn't a mistake at all. Maybe it was the first moment I started to want again. Her chest tightened. Why did those words scare her more than any threat? Kitchen an hour later. The smell of eggs and toast filled the small kitchen. Yiran stood by the stove, sleeves rolled up, hair slightly mussed, focused. He looked ordinary, and somehow, that was the most disarming thing of all. You cook? She asked, leaning against the doorframe, arms folded. Only when I'm trying to avoid an argument. Should I start yelling? He smiled, brief and soft. She walked in, accepted a plate from him, and sat across the table. I was thinking, she said after a pause. Maybe I'll start my own firm. Something small, but mine. His eyes lifted. You should. I don't even know if people will trust me again. They don't have to. You only need to trust yourself. And I'll back you. She paused. He didn't say it like a romantic offer. He said it like a vow. Like someone who believed in her, even if she fell. Dockside midday. Later, they sat at the edge of the wooden dock, feet dangling above the lake. Neither of them spoke for a long while. The silence wasn't awkward. It was heavy, but not with discomfort. With things unsaid. Milan finally broke it. Do you believe people get second chances? I think most people waste them. And you? He turned to look at her. I didn't expect to get one. Until you showed up again. Her breath hitched. Why me? She asked, more vulnerable than she intended. I'm not easy. I'm messy, complicated. That's why, he said quietly. You make me want to stay messy. He reached into his pocket, pulled out a tiny gold thread caught in his coat lining. She recognized it instantly. Her wedding veil. Her breath froze. You kept it? I didn't know what it was, at first. Just found it tangled in my jacket after that night. I kept it without knowing why. Their eyes met, and something fragile and real passed between them. Not passion, not lust, recognition. Meanwhile, Shen Han's office. Send the file to the tabloids, Shen ordered. But sir, he turned, eyes like steel. She's growing too bold. If we let her keep walking like nothing happened, she'll take back everything. The assistant hesitated. And Keen Yiran? We'll handle him. Family rivals or not, he's just a man. And men always fall, if not for power, then for love. He stared at the screen where Milan and Yiran stood close, unaware they'd been photographed at the summit. Love is her weakness, Shen said darkly. But it's his too. 1. Nightfall inside the cabin. A gentle fire crackled in the hearth. Milan curled on the floor beside it, legs crossed, sipping tea. Yiran sat across from her, an open book in his lap, though he wasn't reading. The quiet was different now. Comfortable. intimate. She glanced at him. I was in love once, she said suddenly. His gaze flickered to her. But I think I mistook comfort for love. Obedience for trust. Do you think that's why it broke you? He asked gently. No, she said. It broke me because I gave everything and realized I was a pawn. I wasn't loved, I was used. She looked away. I'm scared of trusting again. Not because I can't, but because I don't know if I'd survive another betrayal. Yiran closed the book. I've been used too, he said quietly. By my father, by my family's expectations, by allies who said I was too soft. He leaned forward. But here's the thing, Milam. The people who use you, they want to turn you into what they fear. But the people who love you, he reached over, slow, hesitant, and took her hand. They want you to be exactly who you are. Her fingers trembled in his. And she didn't let go. End of chapter 35. Chapter 36, Smoke Before Fire. Back to the city late morning. The car ride back felt different. Still quiet, but not heavy. Yiran drove with one hand, his fingers occasionally brushing the steering wheel's worn leather. Milam sat beside him, gaze turned to the window, but not lost in thought. Instead, for the first time in what felt like years, she was simply present. The trees blurred past, the lake disappeared behind them. But she didn't feel like she was leaving peace behind. This time, she was carrying it with her. Ping, ping, ping. As they crossed the city's outer border, her phone lit up with dozens of messages. Unknown numbers, anonymous texts, emails with vague subject lines. Whore in a wedding veil. How many did you sleep with? Guess the scandal is real now. Her heart thudded. She hesitated before unlocking the phone, but Yiran reached across and gently covered her hand. Wait, he said. Let's get to my place first. She nodded. But the knot was already forming in her chest. Keen Yiran's apartment afternoon. His penthouse overlooked the city skyline, cold steel towers bathed in silver grey light. But today, it didn't feel distant or cold. Milam stood in the living room, trembling as she scrolled through the notifications. Some gossip blog had released photos from the summit, a blurred angle of her and Yiran standing too close, eyes too soft. Worse, someone had leaked a voice clip, heavily edited, suggesting an affair before her wedding. Her head buzzed. This wasn't just a smear, she muttered. It's a coordinated character assassination. Yiran stood at the window, silent. He knew this kind of warfare. He grew up in it. I'm not surprised they used your past against you, he said. But the clip, someone close had access to that audio. She looked up. Someone from Lynn's side? Or someone inside mine? She sank onto the couch, pressing fingers to her temples. I can't go through this again. Not after everything. You won't, he said firmly. Not alone. That evening a decision. Milam stared at the screen, then turned it off. No more hiding, she said. Yiran raised an eyebrow. What are you thinking? A press statement. A video. I'll address the rumors, not with tears, but with truth. I'll remind the public who I am. And I'll tell them what really happened to my family's company. He stared at her, something proud flickering in his eyes. You are not afraid? I'm terrified, she admitted. But I'm done letting fear speak louder than me. Yiran walked toward her and crouched in front of where she sat. Whatever you decide to say, he murmured, I'll be standing behind you. She looked at him, really looked. And in that moment, it struck her. This man didn't just support her. He believed in her, not because she was convenient, but because she was Milam. Her throat tightened. Next morning the video. Dressed in a crisp blouse, hair pinned back, Milam sat in front of the camera. Yiran stood behind it, silent. Hello, she began. I am Zhu Milam, daughter of Zhu Zhong, former heiress to the Zhu conglomerate, and the woman painted with slander. Her voice did not waver. I was framed. My wedding was a lie. My family was driven to tragedy. And now they try to reduce me to a rumor. She leaned forward. I won't let that happen. In under 5 minutes, she told the world her version. Clean, sharp, powerful. She didn't cry. She didn't plead. She declared. And when the video ended, she sat back, chest rising, hands shaking slightly. Yiran didn't speak. He just reached over and gave her hand a firm, grounding squeeze. Online hours later, the response was swift. Her supporters rallied. Netizens began comparing timelines. Old employees of the zoo group began leaking testimonies, quietly at first, but enough to stir doubt, to sow unrest, to shake power. And beneath it all, a new headline began to float. Phoenix heiress, Zoo Melan's silent rebellion begins. Yiran alone that night. He stood by the window again. Same skyline, same glass towers, but something inside him had changed. He thought he could keep his distance. He thought he was being noble by not letting himself fall. But tonight, he knew better. He hadn't just fallen. He had willingly dove. Melam wasn't just a woman he admired. She was becoming a part of him, piece by fragile piece. And if anyone came for her again, they'd learn just how ruthless the quiet ones could be. End of chapter 36. Chapter 37, The Cost of Choosing Her. The storm brews. The video Melam posted had done more than stir sympathy, it had lit a spark in a city that thrived on scandal and revenge. Her face was everywhere now. Zoo Melam speaks out, truth or strategy? Lin Group silent as allegations emerge. The heiress that won't bow. Corporate circles watched. Investors speculated. Some saw a fallen heiress clawing her way back. Others saw a threat. But Melam didn't watch the media. She stayed focused, quiet, calm, precise. In Keen Yiran's apartment, she worked late into the night, combing through records, piecing together clues of who betrayed her family. And Yiran? He watched her, and slowly, irrevocably, he realized. He would burn down kingdoms for her peace. Keen Holdings headquarters the next day. Yiran stood at the edge of the rooftop garden, the wind tugging at his coat. His father, Chairman Keen, stood beside him, tall, sharp, a man who wore silence like a weapon. I heard about the video. The chairman said finally. Yiran didn't reply. You are becoming careless. I disagree, Yiran said coolly. I'm becoming committed. To what? That girl? You forget your duty. I forget nothing, Yiran said. But she's not that girl. She's Zoo Melam. His father's eyes narrowed. She's scandal. She's fire. She's a sinking ship, and you're strapping yourself to her deck. She's truth, Yiran said, his voice hardening. And I'm done playing pawn to dynasties built on lies. The older man sighed, disappointed. If you align with her, the board will see it as rebellion. Then let them. His father looked at him for a long, heavy moment. Then turned. You've made your choice. Yiran didn't deny it. He had. A message in the dark. Later that evening, while Melam sat at her laptop cross-checking old Zoo Group employee ledgers, an anonymous email pinged her inbox. Subject: Don't trust anyone. Not even those who smile. Attached: a list of numbered bank accounts. Offshore transactions. A familiar signature buried deep in a file. She opened the document, heart racing. Lin Jianong, Shenha. And worse, an internal transfer from Zoo Group dated a week before the accident. Someone inside had helped move the shares. It wasn't just her groom. This went deeper. Her breath caught. Who was working from the inside? That night an unexpected visitor. Yiran returned late, but he wasn't alone. A tall woman with short hair and a commanding presence followed him into the apartment. She wore a dark suit and an air of calm danger. Who is she? Melam asked quietly. Yiran gave a small smile. An old friend. The woman stepped forward. Chao Lin, she introduced herself. I used to be corporate legal counsel for Zoo Group. Fired when I refused to forge documents after your family's accident. I've been in hiding since. Melan's eyes widened. You believe me? Chao Lin nodded. I believed you before you even spoke. And I'm not the only one. She handed over a flash drive. Everything I've compiled. Transactions, falsified records, forged divorce papers. The man you married never intended to love you. He was paid to ruin you. Milan's hand trembled, but she stood tall. Later on the balcony, it was past midnight. The city lights glittered far below. Milan stood on the balcony, arms around herself. Yiran joined her silently, draping a blanket over her shoulders. You don't need to do this alone anymore, he said quietly. She turned to look at him, eyes misting. I'm scared, Yiran. Every time I get close to standing, someone tries to break my legs again. His jaw clenched. Then I'll be the ground beneath you. No one will touch you without going through me. She turned fully, his words wrapping around her like armor. For a long moment, they just stood there. Then, slowly, she reached out, fingertips against his chest. I still don't know what this is, she whispered. Between us, I do, he said, voice low. It's real, and it's growing. She didn't pull away. She didn't run. She let the closeness stay. Not because she was ready to fall, but because, for the first time in her life, she didn't want to fall alone. Elsewhere in the shadows, Shenha watched the trending topics, his expression dark. So Milan wasn't breaking. She was rising. Too fast. He made a call. It's time, he said coldly. Find the brother, the one in the wheelchair. If she won't bow with shame, she'll bend with fear. End of chapter 37. Chapter 38, Every threat has a face. Zoo residence morning. Zoo Milan sat at her mother's bedside, gently wiping her pale forehead. The scent of antiseptic lingered in the room, but it no longer suffocated her. For weeks, Milan had visited in silence. Sometimes with tears, sometimes with guilt. But today, her fingers were steady. Chow Lin's information had opened a path, a way to clear her name, to fight the real enemy. But just as she rose to leave, her phone buzzed. A message. No name. Just an image. Her brother, Zhu Jihao, in his wheelchair, being pushed by a stranger into a van. The background, barely visible, showed the private rehabilitation center's logo. Below the image, one wrong move, and you'll never see him again. Milan's vision went black around the edges. Her knees buckled. And then, rage replaced fear. They hadn't learned. She wouldn't bow. Not again. Keen Corporation boardroom same time. Keen Yiran entered the boardroom to the click of expensive pens and colder smiles. The board members were already waiting, grey suits, sharp ties, shark eyes. His father sat at the head, motionless. We'll begin, the chairman said. Today, we discuss Keen Yiran's indiscretions. An older man cleared his throat. You've aligned yourself with Zhu Milan. Publicly, emotionally. That alone compromises our neutrality. Yiran leaned forward, hands folded. I'm not neutral, he said calmly. Not when corruption hides behind suits and silence. Gasps filled the room. One woman narrowed her eyes. Is that a confession? It's a warning, Yiran said coldly. If any board member is colluding with Shenha or Lin Jianong, I will burn your name off every contract we hold. His father stood. You threaten your elders? No, Yiran said, rising too. I protect what's rightfully mine, and what they tried to steal from her. Silence. War had been declared. Back at Milan's temporary apartment. Chow Lin reviewed the image on Milan's phone. We need to track that van. I've already sent the logo to one of my old tech contacts, Milan said, pacing. They're working on CCTV footage now. But her voice cracked. He's the only one I have left, she whispered. They know that. Chow looked at her gently. That's why they targeted him. Because you're rising, and they're afraid. Ping. Milan's phone lit up again. Coordinates. A possible location near the river docks. She grabbed her coat. Chow grabbed her arm. You are not going alone. I have to, Milan said. I don't want them to see it coming. Chow hesitated, then nodded. I'll follow at a distance. Abandoned warehouse by the docks afternoon. The river smelled of rust and wet concrete. Milan stood in the shadows of a collapsed shipping container, scanning the dim building. Inside, she saw her brother, tied, slumped in the chair, eyes barely open. Her heart cracked, but she didn't cry. A man in a grey suit emerged from the shadows. Shenha. I didn't expect you to come alone, he said with a smirk. I didn't expect you to be so desperate, Milam shot back. He walked slowly toward her, circling. You're clever, dangerous, even, but still soft where it counts. He gestured toward her brother. One press of a button, and he vanishes. Milam stepped closer, voice low, sharp. You want my silence? You want me to sign away what's left of Zoo conglomerate? You want my voice to disappear? She pulled something from her pocket, a sleek mic recorder. Already live, already streamed. Shen froze. From outside the building, Chow Lin's voice echoed through a megaphone. Let him go, Shen Ha. The police are already en route. The media too. Panic flickered in Shen's eyes. But before he could react, Milam had already moved. She ran toward her brother, wheeling him back, shielding him with her body. I warned you, she hissed. A scuffle broke out near the entrance. Chow's contacts in security gear flooded the place. Shen tried to escape, but was intercepted and dragged down. Milam fell to her knees beside Jihao. I'm here, she whispered. I've got you. Her brother looked up at her, eyes watery. I knew you'd come. Keen Tower evening. Yiran stood alone on the executive balcony, watching the sun fall into the city's throat. His phone buzzed. Milan's voice came through. Jihao's safe. Shen hands exposed. And, thank you, for standing up to your board. Yiran smiled faintly. I'd do it again. There was a pause on the line. Then her voice, soft. I want to stand beside you. Not because I need you, but because I choose to. Yiran didn't say anything right away. But his heart did. It leapt. Next day headlines. Heiress saves brother from kidnap attempt. Shen Ha in custody, new corruption allegations unfold. Zhu Milam and Keen Yiran, the power duo emerging from scandal. End of chapter 38. The warehouse smelled of rust and fear. Shen Ha froze, realizing too late that the game had turned against him. And as Milam wheeled her brother to safety, one thought echoed louder than the police sirens closing in. This war is only beginning. But just when Milam thought she'd gained an edge, the city was already plotting its next move. A betrayal she never saw coming. And a choice that could shatter everything she's built, including her fragile, growing bond with Keen Yiran. Will the heiress who refuses to bow finally learn the price of standing tall? Find out in the next chapters of Beneath the Mask, only here, on the Velvet Story.